All right, here we go. Loading into Empyrean CTF. The wait is over, ladies and gentlemen. We have the start of the HCS 4K and what's sure to be an exciting narrative throughout the weekend, as the top team in this tournament could very well take the top seed going into DreamHack Dallas. And when you talk about seedings and points, you really set yourself up for a much easier go at it in the early goings of these tournaments. If you're a OpTic, a Sentinels, a FaZe Clan, an SSG, a G1 native, there are so many teams vying for the top spot. And it's one thing to vie for the top spot, it's another to have a path to it. And all of these teams do.
All these teams have something to fight for. Making it to pool play was just the first leg of the race, and now we have the top 16 teams. And throughout pool play, it's going to determine that championship bracket. That's actually going to kick off today. After pool play, we're going to get into that bracket. There's only going to be 12 teams remaining, so you have to be in the top 3 out of 4 spots in your pool just to make it into that championship bracket. And then, of course, tomorrow, the continuation of that bracket. Now, I want to take just a quick second to kind of scale back. We'll focus back in on OpTic and Sentinels here in a minute. But if you're looking at the teams across the board, the 16 teams here, Mikowski, is there one team that you expect to maybe rise above their current seeding?
I think right now I'm looking for how Native Red and G1 bounce back.
Okay.
Those are two teams going into this season 2 of HCS that a lot of people had in that top 3, taking the spots from the likes of maybe SSG. I think both of these two teams have fallen back a little bit. Native Red, especially with a top 8 finish in last week's Open Series, despite winning the one previously. That's the level of topsy-turviness and lack of consistency that is a little concerning for me. And then for G1, you have a team that's seeded in that top 3, 4, 5, but they have a hard time finishing there. They have a hard time sometimes living up to their seed. So for this tournament, Magic, my eyes are on Native Red and G1 to see how they bounce back. And then you could also throw Rebellion in that mix as well, with a top 12 finish last week, despite being a 5th, 6th seed after Charlotte.
Yeah, there's so much like fluctuation happening right now. It really feels like, I don't want to use the word instability because that has such like a negative connotation, but
that's
like
fair.
There's so much that's up for grabs, I think, is the positive spin on that same mentality, that there's uncertainty, right? Whereas in the past, we'd see like tiers, right? We'd see like, okay, number 1 and number 2 is here. We got number 3 and number 4 are here. But now it's like you can see a team that's like seated in the top 12 taking a top 4 spot. I mean, like Native White, as Charlotte was a big example of that. But I think there's so many teams that are just trading places that it does feel unstable.
Yeah, and speaking of trading places, you got to watch out for that Proton Gaming squad who slots in the 3rd spot in Pool B. But after the way we've seen them play online, Magic, they could end up taking Pool B. So no guarantees here. Even in the likes of Pool C with FaZe Clan, you think maybe they're on top. But my God, Native Red, absolutely possible that they take Pool C instead. And then even in Pool D, Native White at the top there, but G1, who beat Native White on LAN at HCS Charlotte, at least in pool play, could also find themselves at the top. And then even the likes of Sentinels, if they're able to take this OpTic Gaming squad down to start the tournament, you could absolutely, it is not fated to say that all of these pools here could feature teams that aren't in the first slot to start flipping over at the finish.
There is a lot of teams, and I love that you singled out Proton Gaming. We've seen them with so many upsets, especially from the Open number 2 and then carrying on into their namesake tournament, the Proton Gaming Invitational. So definitely looking forward to seeing them. And, I'm going to take just a minute to get just a little bit personal. I cannot wait to see how Need and Org, which is now Team Status Quo, can perform today. We see the players on this roster. We know they have strong names, but can they come together and unify? One of the teams that we thought maybe underperformed at Charlotte, but they have a second shot. It's not over yet. And I think this weekend will do a lot to determine what that storyline looks like moving forward into the LAN events that are coming up, DreamHack Dallas being the first one. So very excited. It looks like we are getting back into this game number 1. Both of us are kind of putting that pressure on Sentinels, which I'm sure they're feeling it. But these pro players are ready to receive that challenge. They saw the pools. They knew they were going to go up against OpTic, but what a way to kick off this weekend.
Yeah, and if you look at this game 1, so crucial for Sentinels to win this, not because just for the sake of starting off 1-0, but if you win this first game, if you're Sentinels, you get game 4, which is a Streets oddball, I believe. I have not seen a more individually cracked performer on Streets than the likes of Spartan. So the path to upsetting OpTic here starts with a game 1 win here on CTF, maybe sneaking a Slayer as the underdog, and then coming out in that game 4. But now we have an official start to today's tournament with Trippy going down, Overshield going to the hands of Sentinels. So too are the Rockets as well. Good start for Sentinels.
A great start for Sentinels. They need those power-ups. They need to have control, and Spartan rotating over to grab the Heatwave sniper combo. Might find Formal out across, gets the body shot, waits to see if the assist comes through, and off of that pickup, Lethal hasn't needed to use any of the rockets. Still holding down to both of them. Lucid, however, does pick up a kill with the sniper, so Lethal needed to be careful of where those sniper lanes are. As he finds one, he finds two, he takes down the sniper. Spartan might just run over that dropped weapon and pick up some extra ammo.
Yeah, that double there, more of a reset as 3 go down for each side. And for Sentinels, Magic, you pointed out how Lethal held onto those rockets for a considerable amount of time, waited to get those 2-for-2 efficiency kills. And the reason for that was because Overshield went to Sentinels. Usually when Overshield goes the other way, you got to use and negate rockets to sometimes take down Overshield. So a huge opening break win for Sentinels to take all of the sandbox. But just like that, you got OpTic Formal in the back of the flag taking it as well. And now OpTic has one out.
The first flag run being made by OpTic and Sentinels. It seems like the teams kind of swapped bases. Now there's a combination of offense and defense happening at the same time for both teams. Looks like APG is on the defensive side. He has shots onto multiple targets. The assist doesn't come through, though. It's Collect who clutches up the kill, but Lethal's being singled out. APG is traded out quickly as Lethal got that melee before being flushed out of the needle spawn.
Oh, Collect barely didn't make it around the corner as he dies going through the long haul. Sparty looking to potentially pick up where he left off. That's a huge instantaneous headshot there on Lucid. It's going to allow Sparty to instantly look at some of these other members of the OpTic gaming squad that are pushing up. He takes down Trippy because of it. Formal as well. No, Formal with the repulsor delays the inevitable, but not for long as Sparty earns himself that double kill, regains that mid-map control, and now pushing through the long haul. But it's a great timed grenade there from Lucid as he stops the bleeding for just a bit.
I just wonder if Spartan could have used the repulsor. Maybe he hadn't picked it up quite in time to send back that grenade, but in the end, he is taken down. Lucid was on the push through long haul, but he's shut down as well. We're trading off, and now is the next round of power-ups. The rocket fired from Trippy. He gets damage, but not enough for a kill, and now second rocket fired. Rocket's not fully lethal unless you hit your target, but in the end, the assist here and a little bit more momentum back in the side of Sentinels as they once again won over both power-ups. Collect the final second that Overshield waning down, but he got the use to push all the way into the OpTic base.
Sentinels 4 for 4 on OS and Rockets to start today's tournament. That has to bode well for them, but boding even better is APG with the perfect shot double kill, single-handedly stopping that flag run for Sentinels.
APG holding the defensive line. We saw it on the initial push from Sentinels, and now on their second push, he does more of the same. Give him defensive player of the game right now as we're still deadlocked 0-0. Sentinels having 2 rounds of power-ups, not able to create a capture off of them. Now you gotta worry about Formal in the back of the base. He has 2 down, but there's 2 players left, both in the back of the base. Damage onto King Nick, now damage onto Spartan. Spartan with the sniper for Sentinels, and finally Formal is taken down, but what a distraction for the team.
Sentinels not able to take advantage of that incredible opening start for them. And I look at the inverse side of OpTic Gaming. You got APG and Formal popping off with those double kills. Sparty now popping off with the snipe. But back to that point on OpTic Gaming, usually it's the likes of Lucid and Trippy that are slaying out, making big plays. They're starting off a little bit slower here today, but you got APG and Formal picking up the slack. That's a big reason why we're tied, despite the incredibly hot start here from Sentinels, seemingly dominating the sandbox as Sparty continues to push up with Snipe.
Dominating the sandbox and dominating the power weapons, dominating the slay count are the Sentinels. They have another flag on the run. Spartan picks up a couple of kills. OpTic are down in numbers. Here's Lethal with the flag, trying to rotate out of the base, and Trippy rotate around behind. He finds 1 kill, but the flag has made it like a third of the way, just shy of halfway point. But look at the relay coming out from Sentinels. They move it around the corner. This one might just make it home.
Oh my God, and it's clutch double double after clutch double. Here you have Lucid APG combining for the team double kill. And despite another great run for Sentinels, this one seems to be shut down. But for now, Formal going down opens up a little bit of opportunity. But no, that flag gets returned. Unbelievable defensive effort here from OpTic Gaming, and it's now starting to convert into a little offense.
Almost a counter cap potential from OpTic as they did clutch up on that stop, but it's once again rockets in play. APG taken down. We're having a hard time hitting those rockets into a direct kill because of the counter plays and the movement, just the level of skill from both of these teams. It's Sentinels once again in the OpTic base. They are not happy with a 3/4 run. They're looking for that 100% flag run.
Yeah, and right now, Sentinels is playing 100% efficient. Despite a slow start, considering all the sandbox they had, they're up 1-0 here in this game, and they're up by a killing spree margin. So they're up 5 in this game. So they're up a team wipe. They've converted that team wipe into a score here, and now have another flag out as Sparty crosses the first BR. Not his first run here, as he has another one through the long haul. Lucid doesn't have the angle down low in the pit, and because of it, Sparty gonna sneak through and potentially score and put Sentinels up 2-0 as that. They will do that. APG with 2 on the other side of the map. Those are 2 kills. You need the flag scores. It's Sentinels instead, up 2-0.
Always said that if Sentinels are going to make their mark in this series, it had to start with this Game 1 CTF. And a 2-0 lead as we pass the halfway mark in time is looking good for Sentinels. So far, OpTic have barely even gotten a flag pull, much less a significant run of that objective. And I'm noticing a shift here, where early game we saw Spartan at top sword, at long haul. Look at the defensive posture of Sentinels.
Yeah, and a large part of that tone shift, Magic, is because of this 2-0 lead. Only 5 minutes remaining. So collect Sentinels. You saw him kind of baiting his corner there with rockets. You're going to see a lot more of that this game if the score remains where it is, because now the emphasis is on OpTic Gaming. Now the pressure is on OpTic Gaming to push up and regain this mid-map control as Trippy earns himself a snipe on lethal. That's going to help his cause. And now you have 3 pushing through the green hall. It's a green wall for a reason, as APG takes down Collect, and OpTic really playing cautious and careful. They really want to make sure that this next push is a considerable one, because they can't afford to maintain this 2-0 deficiency. They need to put a flag on here soon.
And it does look like they have a little bit more of a concentrated push here with OpTic. You saw 3 players grouped up trying to break through. Now a slight stall as they need to play patient, but look who's getting the opening picks. It's Collect with the first, King Nick right after, 3 going down for OpTic. And any collaboration to form an offensive force is going to be stopped short, as the overshield once again is in the hands of Sentinels. King Nick putting it to work to lay down cover fire and just stop that push. Sentinels once again only need to play defense, so King Nick getting taken down there, that's fine. You're keeping the overshield from OpTic.
Lunchbox, the legendary Halo coach for OpTic Gaming, is gonna have to come up with some mid-game adjustments as rockets, snipe, overshield, all of the sandbox. It wasn't just that opening start, Magic. It's been all game for Sentinels. Absolute sandbox domination. And on a map that features the most options in the sandbox, you've got to win over some of those overshields and rockets if you're going to have a chance here. So for OpTic Gaming and Coach Lunchbox, I'm looking for a strategy switch here as we approach the 3.5 mark.
The difference here, looking at the scoreboard, Spartan at a +7, Lethal at a +8, and on the other side, Formal is at a -10 right now, 7 and 17. Not something you expect from this FPS champion. So Formal, once he gets warmed up, might be back in the fight, but I think it's going to be too late, at least for this first match, because Sentinels are fully on fire as Collect secures another double kill. The clock is running out. Next round of snipers spawning in just 3 seconds, but OpTic need to hope for a triple kill, maybe an overkill, just to get to the flag.
The MVP Lucid with snipe in his hands, and you have to imagine he's got to go on a killing spree here. He's got to make a run, as you have Formal opening up the break as he takes down Collect. That's going to push Lucid forward, but push it right back down. Sparty with the dueling sniper on the other side gets the triple. And the over no-scope on Formal. Oh my god, no, but he goes down nonetheless. It's a team wipe for OpTic. They all go 4 down, and unbelievably have APG already pushing through that long haul side, but that's a desperate push.
Spartan, Spartan, Spartan. I said OpTic needed the triple, and Spartan said, all right, I'll show you a triple. Nearly the overkill right in his scope. And every time Sentinels win that round of defense, they are buying more time off the clock. They're not playing for captures. They already have that insurance capture.
Yep.
And now Spartan with the line of defense, picking off another kill as APG is trapped on rocket spawn. He's getting rushed, traded out for kills.
This is impressive here from Sentinels, because outside of that opening flag run where you had both flags out, a dueling flag run for each squad. So even then, when OpTic had a good flag run out, they still had another one out for Sentinels, and I believe they scored shortly after that. So OpTic's best here is Sentinels' worst. I know it's game one, I know it's early, but so far Sentinels passing the eye test with flying colors.
I'm going to add just one more element to this. We talked about how OpTic have lost twice in this season on Empyrean CTF, but both of those were a 1 capture loss. Right now, Sentinels have that 2 capture lead. So not only does it look like OpTic is on the brink of an upset in game 1, but the doubled up score, that 2 captures from Sentinels, really showing them that they have the strength. Add to that, the slaying prowess that Sentinels are showing us. King Nick picks up another kill. He's positive. Every single player on Sentinels is more than positive.
Wow, almost plus 20 kill disparity.
Yeah,
God,
yeah.
when we first looked at it, it was a killing spree separating. Now it's a rampage. You got to have Formal show that he's equally matched with Spartan.
Double kill.
But no, Spartan's about to hit another triple. My goodness, taking down this OpTic gaming squad one by one. And Lucid putting down the controller, potentially having some comms with his chat, a little frustration potentially for the side of OpTic Gaming. And for me, Magic, it's not even this 2-0 lead for Sentinels. It's the fact that OpTic hasn't even gotten out of their base. This is pure domination.
OpTic, we know them to show up on land, but they need to show up online or they're at risk of losing their #1 seed heading into DreamHack Dallas. But Sentinels are coming out with the full force of a team that will not settle for that 7th, 8th placement. They are eyeing top 4, and what a way to do it with a first game win on the #1 seed. And Spartan is not stopping. He's 26-12.
Wow. Lethal 23-14. This is Sentinels is a team that's used to getting it done with efficiency. They usually don't outslay. They're looking like a FaZe Clan roster, just absolutely dominating in the kill death stat sheet, as Sentinels put 3 on the board in dominating fashion. Wow. And you have to imagine, honestly, Magic, this sounds faded, but if that 3-0 from game 1, if that same energy continues through the series, Sentinels might just 3-0 OpTic.
Hold on. Hold the brakes.
I know. Chat's about to light me up. Go for it.
What a bold prediction. A 3-0 matching the game end score with the series. And on the side of Sentinels, I tell you what, that might just be the bucket of cold water on the face of OpTic to get them to wake up, turn up, show up, heat up, whatever they need to do in order to defend their #1 seed, because Sentinels are out for blood. In that game 1, not only was it the victory that we said, hey, Sentinels, if you're gonna show up in the series, game 1 is where to do it. And boy, did they come through on that victory. And I still have to go back to the slaying ability of Sentinels. It's showing us their strength and could prove really good for going into that game 2 Slayer.
Hey, Magic, you know what's better than an overkill, which we almost saw here in game 1?
The Killtrocity.
A double kill. You know why?
Okay. I'm listening. The teamwork, the coordination, cooperation.
I got something, Chad. I promise. I have some really good insight here.
Okay, I'll wait.
A double kill is better than an overkill, because an overkill sends the squad back to spawns together. Here we saw double kill after double kill for Sentinels, which forced staggered pushes from OpTic Gaming, because here on Empyrean CTF, once you get that double kill, if you don't have that mid-map control, which we didn't see from OpTic Gaming, you're daring them to push past the green wall. You're daring them to push up past Sword, because now they're in a 4v2 scenario with 2 going back to respawn. I saw that all game, double kill after double kill after double kill, sending OpTic back to their spawns staggered, and that is why Sentinels was able to take it 3-0, as they now have a 1-0 lead in this series, off to recharge Slayer for game 2.
So you're saying that Spartan didn't miss that overkill? He intentionally just wanted a triple. That's what you're telling me on that? Yeah, he's just the type of player to not go after that full overkill. But I understand what you're saying. The staggered spawns were so useful for Sentinels to continue singling out OpTic players. And I'd be interested. I have to look back. I didn't count out the assists, and I usually focus on that. But we're heading into game number 2, and it's already a 3-point lead from OpTic.
Wow.
Early in the game. We're 30 seconds in, and they already have 6 slays. So maybe that was the wake-up call that OpTic needed.
Yeah, 45 seconds in, and there's already been 10 slays in the entirety of this lobby. So this match is off to a fast start. This one's not going to time. This one's going through the reticule of Trippy as he misses that shock rifle shot. And now, oh, you got Collect with it in his hands. The young gun could pop off here and bring Sentinels right back in this match.
He's eyeing Formal across a top tower. He knows there's a player there, and he receives just a warning shot of damage. Formal is not over peeking on that window because he's aware that Collect has the shock rifle trained. But a little bit of a rotation here. Collect's gonna jump up to Sneaky. He's looking for APG at the back and see it nearly hit that shot. Also 2 targets in Whirlpool. He could get a little bit of interlink damage here on the shot. He's still waiting to connect, but it's Formal's patience that takes him down. For now, that shock rifle is going to be dropped as OpTic Gaming are holding on to a 4-point lead.
Yeah, and there you had OpTic out patience Sentinels, who looked to slow the game down when they were down 4, had control of that shock rifle, said, guys, park the bus. Let's see if Collect can hit a couple of headshots here. But Formal took him down, and now it's a doubled up lead for OpTic Gaming. Sentinels going to need more than just a shock rifle if they want to come back in this one.
What happened between games 1 and 2, right? We had like, what, a minute of transition time between the 2 games, and it looks like we're watching an entirely new OpTic team that is here to fight in this APG. 7-1, and the killing spree is in place. Collect might be the next player at the top of A, but he's looking across for the team fire as he cleans up one on Lethal. But it's a bit of a 1v2 situation as Lucid has to fall back. APG spree is cut to an end.
And that's what you get when you got the likes of Lunchbox as coach. Not able to find the mid-game adjustment in game 1, but he found the mid-series adjustment going into game 2, finding the answer. And so often in these Slayers Magic, it really is on the coach to make sure that that opening strat counters the other coach. One of the most exciting things that happens behind the scenes that a lot of fans don't get to see is the play call between coaches. You have your set play calls. You got 1, 2, 3. You got ABC options. And then based on where you think the other coach is going, the coach decides which of those 3 opening strats to go with. So often that opening break is a big emphasis on the coaches. And I got to give it to Lunchbox here. Opening break win for OpTic, and they're carrying it here at the halfway mark, up 25-14. Wow.
An 11-point lead. Now it's cut to 10, but we're on the pacing for a steak-tacular, quite exactly as a 50-30 if the second half of this game carries through the same way as the first half. But it's going to be Spartan who maybe shakes that up. Instead, no, the back smack comes in. Felt a little bit personal from Trippy. He grabs the sidekick. He also has the grapple, but Sentinels all respawning together at the back of A. APG has his sights trained down. He's giving that information. And look at the flank play here from Lucid. It looks like OpTic might just close in that green wall, suppressing Sentinels back on their spawns.
Yeah, surprising to see that the assists are about dead even for each of those 2 teams. 10 for Sentinels, 10 for OpTic Gaming. So despite the even team shots, the team Slayer is heavily in favor of OpTic Gaming as they earn themselves another camo. A great job there, though, by Collect to negate the camo, and that's huge because it now brings it back to a 2-possession game going into the 30s. Despite the lead here for OpTic Gaming, Sentinels, they're in it.
Sentinels are right back in this fight. They cut that lead to 7, so they're within the 2 team wipe range. If they can cut it to 4, even better in the next round of slays. But instead, it's OpTic getting kill after kill. They grab 2 more. Lucid versus Lethal in kind of an isolated 1v1, but King Nick is here on the help. Spartan rotating around behind, and Lucid, even with the use of that grapple, doesn't have enough space or cover to stop, to stay alive with Sentinels trapping him.
Formal shots on, but not enough as he waits for Lucid and APG to regain here at the blue side of the map. This is OpTic Gaming right now playing for trades, knowing that if they push out with numbers, they have this game in hand. Still up by 8. Formal like a hawk at the top of blue, looking across the map, just getting a couple shots in. This is all for intel. This is just for damage. This is just to suppress a potential push here for Sentinels because, again, just like game one, the emphasis was on OpTic to push forward. Now it's on Sentinels instead.
7-point lead here for OpTic. We've hit that 30+ kill mark, and now it's time for some real Slayer. It's cut to 6. King Nick doesn't get traded out on that kill, and he might have the new shock rifle. He sees it ready, but he's kind of checking his angles, not wanting to give up his life in the process of securing that power weapon. He's gonna double back, and I'm interested if he takes the gamble, the risk over to shock rifle, or maybe even to get a grapple to grab the shock rifle off of the spawn. But look at Formal once again at the top control, and then Trippy at top glass. King Nick has to dip on out of there, but he does have 2 more grapples if he continues to eye that shock rifle.
6-kill game. The next 2 kills could make it a 1-possession game. Sparty starts that off. Only 5 kills separating these 2 teams, as King Nick has the shock rifle to work with as well. This one feels like an end game with both teams seemingly taking their positions on the map, neither one moving forward. It's going to take an opening break kill here to force some movement as the opening break goes down, but so too do 3 for Sentinels. Trippy and OpTic Gaming again with the patience displayed here. Maintain that 5-kill lead, but Sentinels has a little bit of momentum on their side, but Trippy has the shock rifle.
And that whole round of slays was just for OpTic to secure the power weapon. You saw that King Nick grappled it. He traded it off to Spartan, who was hitting snipes in game 1, who was the kill leader in game 1. But when Spartan missed the shock rifle play, OpTic collapsed. They have the power weapon, but what are they losing in the process? They're losing slays. Trippy is not finding any line of sight. Sentinel's playing so smart to not give him a clean shot. Oh, my heart rate.
Maybe does Trippy not want to give up his location there? That's the only reason why he wouldn't have pulled the trigger with a full head inside of that scope. Trippy now taking the shot. And you have to wonder if maybe the timing is a little off here in game 2, series 1. Everybody's still warming up. It's still early for a lot of these gamers. It is AM, 11:59 AM Central. So OpTic Gaming, you know, the likes of APG, Lucid, Trippy, they heat up as the day continues on. And you have to imagine just getting into the afternoon is huge for them as they perform much better at that time.
And this afternoon is when we're going to see the end of full play in the start of that championship bracket. But OpTic, they are down 1 in the series. You know, it's not enough for them to come back later in the afternoon. I think that there's still the pressure on them to perform right here, right now. Otherwise, they kind of show what their weakness is to all the other teams that have been waiting to compete against them in the online tournament format. Trippy still has that shock rifle, has 2 full bursts left. He can find one on King Nick, and he takes it. No hesitation, and then shifts over for the perfect double kill.
Grip it and rip it, Trippy, because you got the accuracy. You know you're that dude. As we see the lack of hesitation lead to the lack of lives on the side of Sentinels as 2 went down. Now spawning on that long haul side. OpTic Gaming within arm's reach of finishing this Slayer game 2 and tying the series at 1. Trippy maintaining positioning down here at the pit side. Spots lethal with no shields. Goes on the killing spree. OpTic Gaming only need 3, now 2.
Sentinels certainly made an uptick in the second half of this game, avoiding that spectacular, but with OpTic only needing 1 more to seal the deal, it's just a matter of who gets credited with that final kill. It would have to be a team frenzy for Sentinels to steal back this win. Unlikely at best. There's a kill though for Collect, but and not traded out. 2 instead for Sentinels. I was looking for a potential trade out, but OpTic have to fall back. They have to go back to the drawing board, and they have to mount a new approach. Sentinels are holding on to the A-spawn. Collect is now rushing, leading the charge with that repulsor, but he needs to stay alive with the help of teammate, and they're still in this fight.
A transfer of power weapons, a camo pickup here. Sentinels are still in this game, and as I take a look at the assists, Sentinels has a lot more assists. Almost 6 assists for everybody on Sentinels. 3, 3, 6, 6 for OpTic Gaming. So Sentinels riding the wave of teamwork, communication, cohesion, and coordination to potentially come back in this one. Now down only 4. Make it 3. OpTic Gaming on the brink, and they finally take it. Lucid. Oh, a no shields player in the gold pipe side of the map, but my goodness, that one actually felt like you might have seen the most improbable upset of all time. I think at one point it was 49 to 41.
Yes.
5 straight kills there for Sentinels. Make OpTic sweat a little bit, whereas before OpTic would have went into that thinking, we're good, like we're clearly the better team, 10 kill win. But no, Sentinels at the very end wins that maybe doesn't win the Slayer, but they win that mental battle, showing that they are here for the long haul and they're not going to go down quietly.
I think it was a 10 point. It was 49 to 39, or at least 49 to 40. So it was at least 6 unanswered slays at the end game for Sentinels. And what a difference from mid game where I said spectacular question mark, and then Sentinels, it's almost like they heard that and they said, hold on, we're not going to give this one up for free. Even though OpTic come out with the win, that bounce back, that regain from Sentinels from the mid game point certainly can help them carry through into game 3, as it's a tied series. Everything is up for grabs, and OpTic need to watch their back. They cannot take this matchup for granted.
Yeah, it just goes to show you can't win a tournament or a game in the beginning, but you can lose it. And I saw Sentinels there. They lost in the beginning. Going down 16 to 5 or 7, whichever it was, that was just too big of a gap to give this. 18 to 8. So yeah, way too big of a gap here as Sentinels lost it in the beginning, but came on strong. Good mid game, but a great end game just wasn't enough because of that really, really poor start.
Yeah, they were down 10 plus kills early on, and even at the midway point until they finally showed up. And you have to wonder how this end game would have played out differently if it weren't for that early 10-point deficit. I'm just watching the score as we go back through some of these highlights. There were opportunities for the side of Sentinels to come back in the game. They had the shock rifle until it was given up here, and now Trippy takes over. He ends up getting a beautiful double kill, and I think that was kind of like the final stages here for OpTic until that last desperate effort. I think right here is where we're like, all right, that's a GG's, give it to OpTic. Something changes right there where Sentinels finally get back in the fight.
Yeah, Sentinels maybe down 15 to 8 or 14 to 8. They win that game. 18 and 8, 18 to 8. It was just too big of a lead for OpTic to overcome. And you have to imagine, Magic, you cannot give up that kind of a lead to the #1 seed, because they will find ways to win in the end. They'll find ways to trade every kill they need to, as that's exactly what we saw there from OpTic. They really kind of took their foot off the gas and really played for the trades and slays, almost slowing the game down despite being in the lead, as we now have a game 3 King of the Hill. This series, though, tied 1-1. Swing game on the horizon.
King of the Hill on live fire, and we saw the shock rifle plays, and now we get some more sniper, and it looks like it's Lucid with the sniper at the ready, but gets dropped by Collect. This young gun now with the gun to hold, as here comes the overshield, and it's lethal in position once again. Just like game 1, we're seeing Sentinels locking down those power weapons.
Sentinels not only locking down the power weapons, but they got the overshield as well, but lethal goes down with it. Huge. OpTic Gaming finding ways to maybe not grab overshield, but take it down here on live fire, as you have Collect with that sniper rifle. You know Lucid wants a little bit of that, as he has him in his sights. The location of Collect known to the opposition, and Collect taking a really obscure route here with the sniper rifle down bottom mid. Gonna get into some close range gunfights, needs to hit the no scopes, but doesn't. Goes down, 3 go down. King Nick should not stay alive, but King Nick, last player alive, trades out with Trippy. Win condition for Sentinels. If he can get 2 here, he's gonna make a huge play. King Nick, last player alive, stalls and thrives. If anything, gets Sentinels a spawn close today, and now they're right back in the hill. Massive play there from King Nick.
And Formal must have known that the repulsor was there, hesitating on making that push, and then when he goes for it, ends up with just the trade. It is Lucid finding a double kill, and Sentinels trading out lives. But Spartan with the repulsor gets the stall factor, and Formal is right back in the fight. This hill all the way to halfway captured by Sentinels, and now is the spot where OpTic, they can win around a defense, can match that time on the hill.
OpTic finding their footing here with the feet of Formal in the hill. Earning some time. Close to tying this really good start here for Sentinel. So despite the efficiency on the objective side, now you have APG and OpTic popping off, and it's a well-timed pop-off as you have 3 members of Sentinels down. That overshield going to be bait for lethal. But again, last player alive does a great job taking down Lucid, trading out his last player alive. Look at this. Because of that last player alive play there from lethal, it's a much more contested overshield play as Trippy sneaks away with it down the tunnel side. Has overshield heat wave to work with as well. This should be 1 on the board for OpTic, if not for some colossal failure.
And you saw 1, 2, 3 OpTic players pushing for overshield. The only player missing was Formal, who was continuing to put time on the scoreboard, holding down that objective all the while. Usually on the first hill, you see a decision between the hill and the overshield, but twice in a row, we see OpTic coming out with both, the overshield and the objective. Of the Sentinels, though, on the bounce back, they have a great setup for the second hill, giving up those final seconds in order to reposition. Sniper is 5 seconds away and could help Sentinels to secure this objective.
Sentinels doing a good job to earn that early rotation, earn that early 25% mark on this C hill, but now you've got Formal who takes control of that sniper tower. Trippy takes control of the sniper itself. And momentum, map control, sandbox control flipping into the hands of OpTic once again as they look to build on this 1-0 lead.
And that's the body shot followed up by the BR shot from Trippy. Just textbook play with the use of that sniper. Go for the quote-unquote easy body shot and then clean up the rest of the kill or wait for an assist to come through. But now Trippy not making a safe or easy play at all. In fact, is chasing down Lethal.
Ooh.
Lethal wins out that gun battle and still has half of the sniper ammo left to work with. That's a big win for Lethal.
A huge win, a 2-for-1 win for Lethal because he takes down his opponent and takes that sniper as well. But you got another power weapon pushing up in the form of Formal and that heat wave. Lethal with the 360 repulsor going to do enough to get himself the distance he needs between his opponents. And now that overshield going in favor of Sentinels, but it's the hill that goes in favor of OpTic. Another early rotation over to that A side for Sentinels. You got to imagine with this overshield here, they've got to execute. They have to bring it back to within 2-1 because going down 3-0 here to OpTic, they rarely give that up.
King Nick with a bandit. He finds one and he has to bail out on going after the double kill. Overshield and bandit combined are gonna get some good time here for Sentinels. Lethal tossing the frag grenades into the bottom tunnel, and it's Collect with the perfect onto MVP Lucid. You got the young gun versus the MVP, and at least in this isolated 1v1, Collect comes out as the victor. Can he get away with his life? He's bunny hopping, he's strong siding, and a quick capture to get Sentinels back in this game.
Look at the dueling narrative here. Oh, this is incredible. Collect, 19 years old. APG, 19 years of competitive Halo. Wow. Talk about a generational esport here, as we have been playing Halo for quite some time, and so too has APG. Collect, though, looking to become the top player, looking to wear the crown himself. I think Collect could absolutely be a world champ someday, but it all starts here with the progression and progress through these online tournaments, improving every time we see him play. Collect gets another kill here on the screen door, has the shroud screen to provide a little bit more protection, but no. APG, there's that dueling dichotomy. The 19-year veteran takes down the 19-year-old.
APG wins out in this fight, and he adds to it one more takedown as OpTic have the first time, or the answer back on time on the hill. They do pass the lead on hill time, and Lucid gets a kill, tossing the frag, hopefully just stalling long enough to regen, but Spartan's not going to give him that time to recharge his shield. Spartan is sitting at 9 and 7, identical alongside of Lethal, but it's APG once again breaking through on those kills as other teammates like Formal have been locking down the objective. It's been Lucid and APG going after kills in order to defend that hill. APG is finally taken down. Sentinels need to capitalize on this opportunity right now.
Sparty needs to capitalize on this push through mid. He has the pinch on potentially, but Formal, oh my god, huge. Trippy with the snipe. Just as it looked like Sentinels had the pinch and push, it's Trippy and OpTic instead. Not playing for the hill right here. This is really interesting. They're really going to play for the slays here instead. So map control, slay control, the top priority for OpTic, but they're not going to get it. Instead, that opens up the door for the hill to flip into the hands of Sentinels. And with Lucid potentially going down here in a crucial, pivotal battle with Collect, he goes down. Now Sentinels has the slays to potentially gain that map control, but just like that, it's a lot of staggers here. Nobody really finding any form. Collect not even gonna wait for the heat wave here, so no one's waiting for hill, no one's waiting for heat wave. Both these two teams with the exact same strategy, playing for slays.
Yeah, it is such a fast, aggressive pacing as APG finds himself in a 1v2. He takes one kill before he gets meleeed and taken back down. OpTic are fighting for this hill like this is the game-winning hill. It might just be. If they can go up 2 hills, it's like that insurance hill. When we saw Sentinels in the second capture in game number 1, it felt like it had some finality to it. And right now, this hill might decide the winner of this game. If Sentinels can capture the hill, tie up the game, heading into that top mid, gauntlet of a hill. This APG coming in to get the stop, and he gets the stick. The second plasma finds its mark, and now APG, the slayer for the team, is playing the objective side.
And that was almost an entire minute of game clock that went off the clock before we had another team grab that possession of the hill. And look at the patience and timing from OpTic. That was so purposeful, so driven, so strategical to not step foot in the hill until they felt like they had the slay control and map control to find that third score, as they did just that. Now have a pretty convincing lead here on Sentinels with just over 2 to go.
Once again, the principle of time is on the side of the team in the lead. OpTic were up 2-1, so they could stall for that third capture that they now have on the board. Time working in their favor as APG finds a perfect grenade kill. He has damage onto 2 more from Sentinels, but not overextending for a kill. He's just keeping this push at bay. Is it enough? 1 assist comes through. Trippy hat is forced off of the hill, not able to clean it up on that APG damage, but now Formal on the flank. He gets one. He's looking for King Nick for the double, and it's back and forth. Kills going everywhere, and OpTic are still somehow getting time on the hill.
Because of this hill location in the middle of the map, all of the focus is going to be down the middle of the map. It's going to open up the flank lanes, and we saw Formal take advantage of that. We've seen now Lucid pushing up, flanking his opponent. Sparty not looking in that direction. Now has Collect in a 1v1 with him. Takes him down as well. Lucid with 1 HP. Almost had 1 extra snipe to work with, but instead Trippy grabs it. And again, OpTic up 3-1 here. You're just going to see Trippy go to the snipe tower, and he doesn't even care about slays here. He just wants to get damage. He just wants the Sentinels roster to have something to think about other than the hill.
Sentinels have a lot to think about because they are down 2. They have to think about capturing this hill, and they have to think about time left on the clock because OpTic, as they are playing for this 4th capture to secure it, but consolation prize would be letting time tick down and taking the win that way. I like that OpTic are still prioritizing the hill because we have almost a full 2 minutes left in the game, and trade of kills is keeping this hill very, very close. We might see Sentinels with time for just 1 more push, and it looks like they're getting the breakthrough that they need. Lucid is scrambling to the top of tower for the crossfire, but here comes Spartan. What a pivotal fight, and Spartan ends up with the kill as Sentinels are regaining the hill.
But Trippy finds a huge win on Collect. But the push from Sentinel is going to push Trippy down to bottom mid, but he's coming back with a vengeance with that heat wave in his hand, but he has 2 opponents. He's not going to win that 2v1. The grenades from Lucid, though, are super clutch. He's going to earn himself a triple kill there. Doesn't get the triple, but it's the 3-4 down nonetheless for Sentinels as OpTic Gaming take game 3 and now lead the series 2-1.
Oh, Spartan won that piv onto Lucid at tower, and off of the respawn, Lucid goes back to the hill. He gets the cluster luck double kill with the frag grenade to get the final seconds onto the objective. And now we see OpTic Gaming 2-1 in the series. What an exciting and action-packed matchup we have.
And this is exactly why we teed up at the beginning. OpTic, Sentinels needed to win game 1 because you go into this game 4 where on streets, Sparty looks so good. OpTic, oddball, it's the worst game type. They only have a 50% win rate on oddball. So going into this game 4 on streets, we've seen a rampage from Sparting. We've seen an overkill that practically won the game for Sparty on streets. I'm looking for Sparty to pop off again on streets to send us to a game 5 as we take a look back at the scoreboard. Magic, anything stick out to you as we take a look at the kills, deaths, and assists?
Gotta be that MVP Lucid at the top, 22 and 16. And not just the number of kills, the timing on the kills, the double frag grenade kill at the end of the game, as well as Formal getting the overshield. And what happened there in the final seconds, I don't know if we can go back to the replay just one more time, but as the double kill on the frag comes through, Formal rolls through the top of the hill with a full overshield. So that desperation from Sentinels was because of the amount of time OpTic already had on the hill. Sentinels did not have time to play for that power-up and instead had to rush the hill, which is where they ultimately found their demise. So this is what you see in the final stages, and that play, I think, really sums up the entirety of that game.
35 assists there for Sentinels. I believe they had 10 more than OpTic Gaming, so that's wild. Again, 2 games in a row. Important to note, you have Sentinels really handling OpTic in the assist game, but it's not the assist you play for, I guess. It's the slays, it's the hills, it's the flags, as we see OpTic Gaming playing really efficient despite not having the quote-unquote teamwork that we've seen from Sentinels. But I still gotta point out Sentinels looking much improved. The assist might not be leading to victories for them in game 2 and 3, but I think, to me at least, it shows their level of improvement from week to week. They're playing much more cohesive, they're playing much more together, and it's a big reason why this series has been so highly contested between an OpTic Gaming squad that, let's just be honest, last year online they never lost. They looked unstoppable. So for Sentinels, showing that they're climbing the ladder, but this is going to be a tall task here as they need 2 in a row to start off their pool play journey on a 1-0 start.
And I love what you mentioned about Sentinels. They are very strong on the streets. That assist count surprises me, though. I don't know if you can break that down anymore, because it was actually 35 to 23. I think you did a great job singling it out, but why, with 50% more assists, do we see that Sentinels can't convert on the King of the Hill?
It's just weird, because my first thought would be to lean into individual skill, but then I look at Sparty and Collect, and I'm in my head, I'm like, those are top 5 Slayers. Those are top 10 players and Slayers on the dueling side against OpTic Lucid and OpTic Trippy. So I feel like these guys have the gunpowder to match OpTic Gaming, and as we've seen, they've surpassed them in the assist count. Almost like with objective efficiency, though, you got to make sure that the assist efficiency is there, and you're turning those assists and that great teamwork into objective time as well. We saw minutes cross where Sentinels seemed to have a footing on OpTic, seemed to have a slay advantage, but they never took advantage of the hill. Then you had OpTic Gaming get 1 team wipe. All they needed was 2-3 down. They waited to stagger for the 4th. They got control of that overshield hill and never looked back.
I'm going to boil down the success of this game for Sentinels into just 2 words. And it's not going to be anything mind-blowing, but it has to be the sandbox control. That's what they did to win game number 1. That's what they need to do to tie up the series and force a game number 5. And this is what we have seen from Sentinels, that they are so strong on the streets because they know how to utilize the items in the sandbox that make streets what it is, an all-out brawl. And we've been looking for this opening break and where those power weapons end up.
All I know, Nighty Knight's ears are perked up because he's looking for the overkill. The first overkill on stream today, as we have APG taking the first rockets of this game. That's a difference from game 1, where we saw Sentinels dominate rocket control. APG not able to connect on that rocket, but it leads to the kill on lethal. That's going to count towards the efficiency, and he takes out Sparty with a long-range heat-seeking missile. Good start here for OpTic as they start off with that oddball control, milk it a little bit of time, 10+ on the board.
And it was Collect with the cheeky positioning, kind of ducked down there in laundry after the second rocket was fired. He jumps up, catches the back, and gets that takedown. So watch out, Collect is here in the fight. But it's Trippy right now with no BR in hand. We got the Bandit plus Bulldog combo. PG gets a double kill and is looking to set up more. Sentinels are a little bit trapped in the early stages, but only 11 seconds of objective time as APG rolls through on that trap.
And a player just spawned within 5 meters of APG on the right side of his shoulder. That was incredible there. You have King Nick. You got to worry about him. He's still there.
Wow.
He's going to end up taking down APG, so... Wow, that was unbelievable. Just as APG got the double kill and was rotating through C, you had Sentinels spawn C, and it just goes to show again how important it is to be the last player alive. I believe we saw the last player alive for Sentinels working from Red Room down to C. That's why his teammate spawned C and was able to take down APG afterwards, but despite that, OpTic Gaming with that first 30-second checkpoint on the board, and you have Collected, and Sentinels, it looks like baiting the oddball here as OpTic pushes through Cafe.
Mikowski, when are you putting together the master class? I want part 1 being opening break strategies and part 2 being controlling spawns. Okay, there you go. You already got 2 chapters in your master class on the Halo strategic breakdown. As we see that right now, 27 seconds of objective time is all that OpTic have gotten. Sentinels get that nice spawn. They stay close together, but watch out, second round of rockets. It's back in the hands of OpTic again. Trippy not touching that oddball. He's looking for kills, but he's the last alive for OpTic and needs to preserve his life before they get team wiped.
And this is wild. We've changed maps, we've changed game types, but the strategy is still the same. We saw OpTic run past the hill in that last game to earn some slays, and we just saw Trippy sprint past the oddball to earn himself some slays. And look at this, on the other way around, grabs the oddball. That is why I talk about the processes so much. OpTic Gaming playing through their processes perfectly, and it's a big reason why they're up big.
Now, Sentinels did break that goose egg on the scoreboard. You got to credit Spartan with a whole 1 second of objective time off of that break, but it's OpTic playing their processes that are not giving any more time up. You see the play ball out to mid as OpTic hit that halfway mark, and a trade comes through. Actually huge, because Trippy was one shot. Coming out with a trade in that scenario counts as a win, as both teams try to regroup, and this might be where we see Sentinels make a break on the objective, but they can't toss the ball up to the top of trash to that commando. Collect doesn't want to be the objective player here. He has the bulldog, but he's forced into that role.
Now that ball is all bait over on the trash side as OpTic looks to put Collect in the dump as he goes down. And this is what you get when you go up 50-0 to start an oddball match, Magic. You get the you have the option to play freely and to wait, bait, go for those slays. You actually saw OpTic strategically there dump the oddball at the trash location. Lethal bait. Collect got baited. Everybody went to go pick up and collect the trash, but they got trash for it. Only 6 seconds on the clock as that oddball is now rotated towards the PD side, which OpTic has control of. Unbelievable performance here from them in game 4.
King Nick is trapped at the bottom of B stairs, and here comes Lucid, the double kill with the use of that stalker rifle. He eats the rocket. Wasn't enough to take him down, and now it's APG who has 1 rocket left. Doesn't even need it on the clean BR takedown. Sentinels are back in that staggered spawn. Look, 2 of them are here at PD. APG finds 1. King Nick might be the second to go down. And once again, OpTic playing that stall because they have the luxury of time.
APG shooting through the tires there into the arcade to prevent a spawn at B, but that spawn at B ultimately goes down. Sentinels with that B spawn looks to push up, but they push up through the staircase instead of taking the cover around the bend towards red. Because of it, OpTic Formal gonna land himself a triple kill, potential overkill on Sparty himself, the king of streets. Does he find him? Oh, he's looking slippery, he's looking squirrely, and he's gotten away. Unbelievable here from Sparty as he comes right back, but Formal with, again, patience. Patience has been the key word for OpTic. Every time they've needed to stress or press, they say, no, we're the world champs. We're good. We're going to chill, man. We're just going to be right here. You can come back whenever you want. That's exactly what we saw there from Formal. So impressive for him to stay composed despite a really frustrating sequence where Sparty stayed alive and OpTic take round 1 1-0.
Was it Spartan staying alive, or was it Formal chasing him away from the objective, right? Because they were already at the 90-second mark, and just forcing Spartan to leave the objective was enough to win the round. And knowing Formal, he's more than happy to take the round win over the overkill any day. But unfortunately, 1 round goes to OpTic Gaming. Sentinels need to find their mastery of streets right here, right now to force that game 5. But it's Lucid with 1 rocket and the red gun. So dangerous with that in the first round. Ready to put it to work again as he finds Sentinels at the back of B. He takes down Spartan. He takes down the double kill.
Sentinels just not able to find the form that we saw in game 1. And after that game 1, if they had continued at that pace, they would have been in a much better spot. But now it's OpTic with that pace and a potential 3 unanswered games for them instead, as Lethal has that red gun in his hands. But look at on the other side of the map, it's OpTic Gaming with the oddball in their hands, and just in a blink of an eye have that first 30-second check mark. The milk is looking fresh. It got put on the shelves here this morning, picked up at noon by OpTic Gaming. They're drinking some fresh milk right here.
They're looking fresh indeed. Maybe a little bit stale from the game 1, but ever since then, OpTic has been back in full form. Sentinels had a nice little comeback of slays in that game 2, but not enough to take the victory that maybe they needed to stay in this series. OpTic are not done. They're not credited the win just yet, though. They're still 70 seconds shy, and in oddball, things can switch around really quickly. Sentinels are staying in the fight as the oddball is rotated back to Subway. We still see a very familiar trade of kills. Trippy's gonna milk his life as APG locks down that objective.
Collect with the jump to top C. Gonna have to make a play here. Does that by taking down the MVP Lucid. but Trippy trades him out. That is so tough here because now you have Trippy flanking through the back of C, and if King Nick can't take him down, oh, huge takedown there. You got to get some oddball time here. 3 down for OpTic Gaming, but look at this off the spawn. They're already putting pressure from Arcade looking across the sea. So that is so tough. When you're Sentinels and you're earning 3, you're earning 4 down, and you're not getting much ball time to show for it. It's a big reason why OpTic has the milk. OpTic has the lead.
Sentinels get a little bit of a chunk of time there, just what they needed. They also win out that opening break kill. In fact, 2 are going down for OpTic. Lethal in the back of A. He has damage onto Lucid, and that's the team fire, converting into a double kill for Collect. We saw the assist in the last game, not enough for a victory, but now Sentinels are bringing back those assist plays and securing the objective. Collect as the Slayer, trying to stay alive, has to duck around the corner to keep his light and that red gun control as well as the objective. But the frag grenades from OpTic are so like choking. There's stranglehold that he can never regen his shield. Spartan lasts alive. He doesn't even get to play the ball out to mid because the trap is in.
Like a SWAT team going through a training practice. Sentinels looking like the dummies in the training. OpTic Gaming looking like the SWAT team as they time after time break through these setups for Sentinels. Built by paper thin cardboard, it looks like. OpTic breaks through every single time, and now it's going to really take some heroics here from Sparty and the rest of Sentinels if they want to come back in this game and this series.
The precise process of OpTic is showing in not just how they're winning this game, but in the roles that they have assigned when it comes to oddball. OpTic are one of the teams that you can see the most clearly defined roles. You don't see Formal picking up the objective. He's setting up kills for his teammates. You see the 15 assists, very consistent for Formal.
That's his game.
And then Lucid doing his job of getting the most number of kills through. So OpTic, again, filling those roles perfectly, and you can see why it works.
Yeah, you can see why OpTic Formal didn't have the best performance Monday in that $10,000 free-for-all. It's because he's such a great support player. You see the assists here. He's always helping his team shine and perform at a high level. That's why he wasn't able to get as many slays in that free-for-all as OpTic has the answer to Sentinels. Game 1 push, a ferocious Game 1, an unbelievable Game 1 from Sentinels where OpTic hardly even fought back. Now we see OpTic waking up, OpTic warming up, and OpTic looking like that #1 seed we're used to.
And honestly, the reason we wanted to hop on this, right? We wanted to see this series because we wanted to see what does OpTic look like online. We haven't seen them playing in, you know, an HCS tournament since Charlotte. And I think the answer to our question is here. This was potentially their toughest matchup in pools. I mean, statistically, right? This is the #1 versus the #2 seed in pools. So OpTic coming out with this first win, maybe not the first game win, I think it's setting them off on a strong pace for the rest of the weekend, but everybody else is still gunning for this top seeded team.
Wow. Unbelievable there. You saw OpTic Formal with only 13 seconds, 15 seconds of objective time, but like you said, Magic, that was all part of the strategy. In oddball, Formal deals the assists, not the ball time. When he has when Formal has a lot of ball time, or excuse me, when Formal has the least ball time, 80% win rate for OpTic Gaming. So all part of the processes, all part of the strategy, all part of the role sets for each of these OpTic Gaming members is each of them play it to perfection, each of them playing their 25%. And that's why OpTic, despite a slip up here in Game 1, going down 3-0 to Sentinels, find 3 unanswered games and bounce back strongly in the series.
And I vaguely remember some faded caster talking about a Sentinels 3-0. I can't recall like who maybe had said that, but you know what? I never.
Sentinels maintains what we saw in Game 1. There's no one in chat. I don't care how big of an OpTic stan. I don't care how big of an OpTic fanboy you are with your OpTic green glasses on, stupid goggles. You can't tell me watching that Game 1 that Sentinels didn't look to have what it took to win the series had they continued at that pace. But spoiler alert, they did it. That's why we set it up, because if they don't maintain the pace, they might lose 3 in a row to OpTic, which is exactly what we saw. I'm just going to rest my case, say my piece. I'm out of here. I got my drop. You know what? I'm out.
Oh, no, Mikowski, I'm just messing with you. See, here's what happens. Mikowski calls himself faded all day, but as soon as somebody else turns it back on him, all of a sudden you see another version. No, it's been a great start to this weekend. It's always a good time getting to cast with you, Mikowski, and I love your insights that you add. And even if some of your predictions don't come through, as Sentinels weren't able to maintain that pace, and you know what? At the end of the day, we're on the same page. If Sentinels came out as strong in Game 1, in the rest of the series, we would be seeing a very different outcome. But whatever it was from Game 1 to Game 2 and onward, OpTic are back in the fight, and they're looking like the team across not just this pool, but across all 16 teams that has got to be the priority target #1 for every other